Hi, my name's Talesian, and I'd like to do a video concerning the new season, Season 4 of Diablo 4. Now, the season's supposed to start on May the 14th at 10 a.m. Pacific. The focus of this season, as you can see here, is going to be Loot Reborn. Now, this concerns a lot of the changes that were made on the public test realm that was done earlier this month. I had a chance to play characters, both level 100 characters that went through a lot of the endgame mechanics, and I also started a level 1 character and got them up to level 75. So I was able to see how these changes affected both characters at the end of the game and while they're leveling up. And I'll give my thoughts and such on how those changes went as I go through this video. Now, since this season is called Loot Reborn, one of the biggest changes concerned itemization. They did a massive change to itemization. One of the biggest changes is they reduced the number of affixes on items. Rare items now only have 2 affixes, and legendaries also now only have 3 affixes. Also, in return for reducing the number of accesses, which makes choosing items a little easier, they made the affixes more powerful. Makes it easier to evaluate the items, so that you spend more time actually hunting items than it is spending time in town going through the items. Now, a lot of the harder to craft mats, they also have multiple ways of acquiring them through whisper caches, rare drops from elites, etc. One of the ones that they mentioned specifically were the Forgotten Souls, which are used to upgrade legendaries. Now, they also, since items are dropping less than before, you also need less mats overall in order to upgrade them. Another big change that they made was that from now on, in World Tier 3, you will find only sacred items, and you'll only find ancestral items in World Tier 4. Also, any legendaries that you find from mobs that are level 95 or greater will all be item power level 925, which makes maxing out your character a little easier. Also, uniques will be starting to drop a lot earlier. You'll find some of them as early as World Tier 1 and 2, with all the rest starting at World Tier 3 from level 55 mobs, and even then, you can find ones that are power level 925. And frankly, one of the biggest changes and one of the most positive changes that I feel they made is to the Codex of Power. From now on, you can update your Codex of Power. As you get upgraded aspects, they will automatically appear in your Codex of Power and can be used indefinitely. Aspects can also be favorited and searched. And it will also carry over to the Eternal Realm, where the highest aspect will get copied over at the end of the season. Another one of the big changes that they made is they've included 2 ways to improve your items. The first one is from tempering. Through the course of adventuring through Sanctuary, you'll find manuals that you can bring to your blacksmith to learn different tempering recipes. Ancestral items can then have up to 2 different tempers from different categories, and there are 6 different categories that most of the items you'll be able to find. Also, you can only temper items so many times. And the manuals that will carry over to the Eternal Realm, just like the Codex of Power will, at the end of the season. The other big way to upgrade your legendaries is through masterworking. You can use this to improve the affixes even more than you can with tempering. Now, in order to do this, you'll need drops from the Pit of Artificers, which I will explain a little later on, as it's another add-on from this season. Think of those briefly as greater rifts from Diablo 3, but I'll get into more of that in a minute. All the affixes, every time you masterwork, will get a boost, and at the 4th, 8th, and 12th increase, one affix will get a massive boost, and its color will change. It'll start going to blue. Then if you can do it a second time to the same one, that will turn yellow. And if you hit the same one all 3 times, it'll turn orange. Once you masterwork an item 12 times, if you don't like the result, you are able to reset and do it over, but you lose, of course, the match you've already spent. But I think this is a great way to possibly target certain affixes on the item and get those to increase even more if you're lucky enough to get the same affix all 3 times. Speaking of affixes, starting in World Tier 3, you'll be able to find items that have greater affixes. They will have a unique icon both within the world and in your inventory so you can tell them apart. Now, each affix on an item has a chance to be a greater affix. You cannot enchant an item to have a greater affix, however. You can only be found. So when you find them, They're very valuable items, especially if they have multiple greater affixes, which is definitely possible. They've also improved gems for Season 4. They've made them simpler and much more streamlined. You'll start finding normals at around level 51, flawless at around 71, and royals at around 91. They've also changed what each one of them do. The diamonds are still based on resistance values, but those values have increased. Topazes will always be int, sapphires will always be will, amethysts will always be strength, and emeralds will always be dex. Another one of the big changes they're making this season is to Hell Tides. Hell Tides will now start in World Tier 1. And if you think back to the Season of Blood and the Vampiric Blood Harvest, you'll get an idea as to where it's going. As you kill mobs in the Hell Tides, you'll gain a threat level. And as your threat level increases, you'll get marked. When it maxes out, you will be swarmed by hordes that will end with a Hellborn, which will have great rewards. They've also added more events to the Hell Tide. One of them is the Accursed Ritual. As you go through, you will find these baneful hearts, and you need 3 of them in order to activate the ritual. You doing so, you'll get a horde, just kind of like when you were fully marked, but this time it ends with a Blood Mage, which will have even more powerful rewards. And the person who contributes the most hearts will get the most powerful reward. Another one of the changes that I'll make to the Hell Tides is the introduction of the Profane Mind Cage. When you consume this item, it will increase the mob level of the Hell Tides to you by 10, which will also increase any rewards you find. If you really want to push the Hell Tides to the max, that's the best way to do it. On top of the Profane Mind Cage, they're also adding new encounters to the Hell Tides, including this huge maw that will come out of the ground and just spit hordes of demons out of you at random times. It's really making the Hell Tides probably the way to level throughout the course of the event. The greatest challenge, however, is the Pit of Artificers. In order to unlock the Pit of Artificers, you need to complete a Tier 46 Nightmare Dungeon and complete a quest. Then, once you've done so, it will activate an obelisk that's in Saragar. In order to activate the obelisk, you'll need to find rune shards, and you can get those from many different sources. Helltide chests, world bosses, legion chests, nightmare dungeons, and whisper caches. Inside of these, as I mentioned earlier, these are sort of like the greater rifts from Diablo 3. You'll go through and kill as many mobs as you can within a 10-minute window, and if you're able to succeed, then you'll open up a portal to the boss. However, each time you die, you will get time subtracted from your timer, starting at 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and then 90 seconds. The faster you finish, the more levels you can lock, and the faster you can go deeper into the pit. And as you go deeper into the pit, the rewards increase. Now, the beginning rewards turned out to be some of the lower level mats that will be used for masterworking, but some of the higher level rewards will include Stygian stones, which will be used to unlock Tier 200 tormented bosses. Speaking of that, a new boss joins the fray, Andariel, who, if you remember from Diablo 2, was the end of Act 1. She comes back as a new boss in Diablo 4. In order to find her, you will need mats from defeating Lord Zir and the Beast in Ice, and her lair is in Tassarak in the Hanged Man's Hall. And alongside all of that, you'll be fighting along with the Iron Wolves. As you kill Hell Tides and complete some of the season quests, you'll gain faction with the Iron Wolves. And that will also allow you to get more tempering manuals and other masterworking and tempering mats as you go through. Now, a lot of this stuff is going to be covered in the upcoming Dev for Developers chat, which will be May the 2nd at 11 a.m., which will be on Twitch and YouTube. Now, I won't be covering it live, but I will do another video after the fact for any changes that were made and any other new information that's put on. Now, I'm not expecting anything new concerning the upcoming expansion pack, which is due later this year, because I think they'll probably end up and do another dev chat at near the end of this season in order to cover that. But that's pretty much all I have for you right now concerning Diablo 4 and its new season. I hope you'll join me as I go through it, and when the new season starts, expect for me to be online on Twitch. as I stream and fight some of these mobs and fight my way through the new season. I look forward to seeing you there. Take care.